Ugh.
Can't suddenly become a pirate during the meeting? Okay.
No, dude, I swear I'll close it out.
I feel like if the mood strikes you, go with it.
God damn it.
Come on, it was funny.
It was weird, yo. It's just weird.
I liked it.
That's me.
We're recording. We're recording.
Oh, we're
no,
recording.
but that was weird. Like, what?
I feel like you should let Shauna just put the pirate costume on just to show people what we do.
Dude, it's just it freaks me out.
That's not very equitable.
All right, you can put it on for like 5 seconds, and then I don't like. You got to tell me when it's off.
It's fine. No, we're all good.
All right.
I'm not. I like the pirate. All right, fine.
Like okay. Let's do the. All right. So we're gonna welcome to another episode of Night Watch. We are gonna talk about what the budget tonight. Budget meeting, the final budget meeting.
Yes.
Yeah. That what do you guys think? Yeah. All right, so kind of main takeaways from. I mean, I feel like we've been writing about this shit for which is good. To be honest with you, I don't think the town has had a despite the district closing down so many avenues of input, I haven't seen as many people so interested in the budget and so much information being discussed as it has been, the last 2 years and this year especially. But let's just go do kind of a roundtable in term, and just kind of what key takeaways you guys. I mean, what key takeaways? What you guys pulled out of that meeting?
The meeting or the budget?
Start, huh?
The meeting or the budget?
Either one is fine, man. Meeting or budget.
It's just like it's too much stuff.
Well, yeah, that's why I'm saying narrow it down to two really important things.
All right, I'll go. So I feel like we've been speculating for months about the process, which is what I think everyone collectively has issue with. I think we learned what we thought, the people who were in that room, like principals and supervisors, weren't actually in that room sitting at the table. Dr. Varley said the other night, she said the people in the room, she said it was me and Julie and Angela and Robert and Joy. So that kind of was like, I feel like they say a lot of things, not realizing we've kind of called it out. And then they're like, yeah, you're right. Anyway.
I don't think they ever say you're right.
Well, I mean, they won't, but I'll say it for them. I also really got the impression, and it's been kind of lingering for the last few weeks, that I don't think Julie or Melissa really have an idea. I don't think they really had a hand in doing the budget. I really think their staff did it because their inability to answer just the very basic questions it's actually kind of scary that these people get paid so much money and they know so little about the basic operations of our school.
Well, so I was actually I don't know who I was talking to about that, but I actually had that same feeling I guess last week, where I'm just I don't think they're doing there is no way. You have to be. That first budget that came out. I mean, this one too. I mean, they're both terrible, and the information that they were sort of giving people, was just so wrong. It was just so incorrect on so many levels. First, it's teachers. Well, first it was. I don't know what came first. It was the teacher's fault. It was special needs. It started with they tried to make it Oprah early on to build up a crescendo into this and lawsuits until, the main source of lawsuits became them. And then the Oprah lawsuits started looking like they were going south. I think there was one outcome already that's sort of going against them. I mean, they're running out of reasons as to why this thing sucks so bad. And as you look down the numbers and drill down, I spent literally, I think 2 or 3 hours trying to piece this shit together. And I have some idea what the high per pupil cost is about. I think administration is definitely one of them. I think that legal fees are definitely one of them. But man, there's so much inconsistencies between reports and actuals and the audit. It's almost like it's almost like you wonder whether it's made intentionally confusing, so you really can't track shit down. Even the school that Pam Pam Stanley brought up as being, well, compare us to Westfield. So I did, and that didn't help
Yes, you did.
either.
No. Nope.
Go ahead, Sean. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. You're spot on. My main takeaway from this last meeting was they don't give a shit about anyone but themselves. And they are going to do what they want to do, and everybody else be damned. They don't care. They don't care. And if you watch, I want everybody who watches this video to go back and watch that video and watch what Angela, you can't see the rest of the BOE members, but watch what Angela and Robert are doing while Rob Nixon is talking, because it says it all. Just go back and watch it. And instead of focusing on Mr. Nixon, focus on what those two are doing. And Melissa, she is sitting there.
She could stay awake. I mean, that would be great.
When one of the parents was speaking, it looked like somebody was filing their nails or something. I don't know. It was weird. There's like hair brushing and nail filing, and I don't know what the attorney's doing. Like, I mean, honestly, if I were the attorney and I had a laptop, I'd probably be playing video game. I'm not saying that's what she's doing, but the last thing I'd want to do is listen to this shit, huh?
She was probably putting pirate filters on her face for fun.
What would a pirate filter look like on?
Come on, man! Like, you don't understand how disturbing that looked. So I want to go break it down. So, little by little. So the first thing that I want to kind of talk about is, and we just put out a very special BHCW presentation. But Dipti, and man, I almost feel like this was deliberate, because Dipti is like super smart and super stealthy. Kind of had Varley say 3 times, kind of fished it out of her. And Varley's like, well, I don't know what you're talking about, or I don't understand the question, but this isn't going to impact students. And, there's a part of me that wonders if she knew what we were going to do with that shit. Because, literally, you basically had teachers, principals, and students basically telling her the very opposite. And even Ziobro, and I don't know if I'm terrible with names, so I apologize if I'm mispronouncing his name. Same thing with the configuration. This is well studied. And so he goes up there and is like, yeah, I looked at that, and no, there's like maybe 2 or 3 schools out of the 15 I looked at that are sort of doing it. Why? Because we want people close to the kids. We don't like, what you're basically doing is taking in-school support and doing the exact opposite of what everybody else wants you to do. You're just creating another adding more to the higher tier administration,
he said that directly.
Yeah. Yeah. What was sort of your gotcha? Not the thing that got you, like the part of the meeting that really kind of punched you in the stomach.
Oh, I think everybody saw that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm going to go to that. Oh, God. I'm going to cue that. Guys, you talk while I kind of figure this shit out.
Couldn't. So leading up to it was, this whole, it's like she's holding the teachers hostage, and she's saying, you will vote how I want you to vote, because if you don't, I'm going to get rid of the teachers. So she went right back to it at this meeting, because Tom asked her, and this is another thing actually that I noticed. So they had the budget up first, and Angela Penna kept saying comments on the budget. Well, the budget was sort of separate in the agenda from the items. So I actually went up initially and I said, is this budget alone, or is it agenda items? Because I wanted to talk about item D, which was getting rid of the supervisors, but they were intertwined, and the way they had it set up was really weird. So then Tom Ford asked, well, if I vote no, or if I vote yes on the budget, rather, because he said, the budget's fine other than the supervisors. If I vote yes on the budget, am I automatically voting no or yes on item D, rather? So the way they had it set up was weird. But anyway, after he asked that question, she said, well, if you don't get rid of the supervisors, then I'm getting rid of 2 teachers. And then I lost my temper, because she's just.
Well, she's awful.
Was this before Karen spoke or after?
I That was so Karen tried to speak during agenda items and they made her sit down, and then so Shauna spoke in that
the first round
hearing.
Yeah, I'm looking for when Shauna did her thing. Oh, I think I found it.
What I found really interesting and kind of a little bit sneaky on their part is that when we had that second budget meeting, what was it, April 20th? I'm wearing the date. After
there was
budget,
March 13th, March 30th, and then this one.
So March 30th then. And she had Melissa had on the agenda, to the reconfiguration or whatever it was for the supervisors. However, this new position she created, director of STEM and STEAM, that was nowhere on there. So was this pulled out of where in the last 10 days? She said, oh, actually, I've had this epiphany that we need this new. So that to me was very sneaky. The fact that this was such a major overhaul and there was no hey, we think this is where we want our supervisor positions to be, or this is what we feel like we're lacking. It was just like slap it up there. This looks good.
Yep. That is excellent.
The other thing is French. So just to your point, French is getting removed. It looks like French is getting removed from GL, right?
So it looks like French 3 regular, and I don't have a student at GL, so I do not know how the movement of one in a language works, but it appears that the day after that board meeting, an email was sent out to parents of GL students who are on track to take French 3 next year, the regular course, saying that enrollment was low and they were abolishing that class, but those students would be in French honors, which is just insane. It's almost, I feel like, let's just
there isn't a respect for world languages in this school. It's so bizarre.
Well, just get rid of it? Is it becoming such a nuisance? Let's just make it an elective, not a requirement, because it seems like we're failing in an area that, I mean, I don't know how many kids are going to go on to use.
Well, they're not going to keep going to a language that you keep threatening to take away, and you start peeling back. I mean, this is just this is like a power tantrum. I feel like anytime they don't get what they want, they do something, they cosmetically, but then there has to be something like, the money for the family member that was hired by the superintendent, that's still put away, in the hopes that she's going to be able to pay them. There's this desire, this really strange, weird, fucking bizarre desire to win these stupid battles and tear everything apart just to make a point. And somebody said, I think Karen. Yeah. I'm sorry, Karen. She's right. The whole thing has devolved into sort of this incestual kind of insular kind of weird, this, that we have to protect our, they almost think protecting themselves is the same thing as protecting the district.
Right.
I mean, it's weird, man. It has gotten absolutely bizarre, Yeah. And the other thing that kind of went off was I don't know, did anybody understand what Gail was saying? I mean, I'm not trying to be funny here, but she went on, and I don't know, it was a strange, sort of philosophical, transcendental kind of
she was
stream of consciousness kind of shit.
She was
Shauna's got it.
She was pre-justifying her vote.
I think I texted this group when she was I was having an out of body moment, and I said, oh my God, she's been fed whatever the feeder story for this position was by Varley and Codd and Hopkins and whoever else is, the scheme team. And I said, this is her platform and this is her apology to all of the people she's affecting who, I can't tell you how many educators reached out to me and said, please vote for Gail. She's going to be our voice. And I have, where, show me.
Where?
I'm having a really hard time, and I don't know her, and I don't like to prejudge people until I get to know them. But I feel like this was another huge, Homer Simpson, don't, really?
Yeah.
It's frustrating. The minute she started getting the endorsements, where the way it was sort of tied up, I already knew it was over. I knew in my mind that if she had won, that those votes were going to go in a very specific direction, you know, and that her experience as a teacher would be used to sort of minimize everybody else's position. That was my suspicion, but that was just me, you know.
Well, and I tried to give her the benefit of the doubt, but she listened to what they told her about the Oprah custodian position. And I gave her that one because, you know, your superintendent and your business administrator are telling you something, you sort of tend to believe what they're telling you. And then she realized what they told her was wrong, or at least I think she did. So now the second time they're telling you, oh, we need this. This is going to be great. STEAM. Oh, it's so wonderful, blah, blah, blah. She should know better at this point. She should know to double check and fact check and think for herself. And she didn't do it. So she's either willingly screwing the teachers over or she is incapable of learning a lesson. So I'm done with her.
Yeah. And you know, I know that people think I'm some kind of like whacked out leftist liberal, but you know, I'm not. I'm very critical of the teachers unions. I'm very critical. I don't like the idea of public unions to begin with, and no one was more critical of how the math supervisor handled building thinking classroom. Fuck you, Shauna. I mean, you know, I'm not philosophically tied to these people, but you know, honestly, when you have a context like this administration, I can't argue the fact that we need a union. Like our teachers were like, you know, they got the increase and their median salaries were still kind of in the middle, lower, right? Mm-hmm. Where is our money going? Right? They're the most important piece of this. Like my feeling is teachers should be making anywhere between 120 to 150 a year for their jobs. Get rid of the unions and give teachers really good salaries, really good benefits. Treat them like executives. Unions don't like to hear that. So I'm not like, you know, I'm not in bed with this whole idea of teachers unions, right? So I'm not coming from a place of like sort of, you know, political philosophy here. They're being treated really badly. You know, they're treated really, really badly in this district, in my opinion. What did you guys think about so what could somebody explain the bleachers? I mean, like, I guess, you know, the people one board member was fawning over the bleachers. What the hell is going on with that?
I don't know, but I mean, clearly it's very, very concerning to Mrs. Stanley.
These are at CMS, right? These are bleachers at CMS.
Okay. So it appeared from the revised budget, which went through, there was all this money that I don't know, they woke up one day and found this money. And I guess they were looking so CMS has bleachers, they work, they are old, and I believe it was supposed to be in the budget for next fiscal year to repair them or replace them for, I believe it was $100,000. So I don't know, the powers that be had a moment of clarity and realized that maybe instead of firing, you know, help teachers in elementary schools, we should maybe push the bleacher project off. But I'm so glad that Pam spoke up, and I'm so glad she got clarification on what was happening, because God forbid we don't have bleachers.
Yeah.
So
it turns out, I'm sorry. Do you have
can we talk about found money for a minute and go back?
Yes. That is where I wanted to go. Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to back up to hold on, blah, 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 March 30th meeting. Okay. March 30th meeting at about the 1 hour mark, 1 hour, 2 minute mark. Gail said, let me back up even further. At 58-minute mark, Gail said to Varley, asked her, do you see any disadvantage to having another separation between teaching staff and students and the administration level of the directors? Now, this is going back to the first one, but she said, do you see a disadvantage in the separation here? Because you're removing, you know, from supervisor to director. And Varley said, and I am direct quote, of course I do. She said, when Gail asked, do you see a disadvantage to this? Varley said, of course I do. But then Dipti asked her what's going to happen. And, everything's great. Everything's fine. Nothing's, you know. And then a few minutes later, Gail says, if we did not have to make this cut with budget cuts of $350,000, would we have done this type of reorganization? And Varley said, and again, direct quote, absolutely not. So that was when we were looking at $350,000. So fast forward to Thursday night, we're down to $135,000 now because they did whatever they did, and who knows where the fuck the money's come from, but whatever. And so Gail said, if it weren't for this $350,000, would we make this reorganization? Varley says, absolutely not. And Gail's response is, this only because we have to cut our budget that we've been looking at this reorganization. And Varley said, yes. So then here we go. Thursday night, Mr. Nixon stands up. He says that Ms. Nardi and he met with them and that they proposed over $500,000 worth of alternative cost savings. So what the hell?
Because this is what they do.
Come up with an alternative. You have said on record that if you had the money, you wouldn't cut the supervisors. People are begging you and pleading you, and what do?
Because it's not a money issue. Sean, the issue is that it isn't about the money. There's something really wrong with how they're there is something really shady with this money thing. First of all, this was a completely manufactured crisis to push through a reorganization that you wanted. There was no budget crisis. There was no fiscal cliff. I doubt there's even $100,000 or $135,000 deficit. I mean, the way they find money, and you know, just for the record, it looks like Cy was absolutely correct about what was going on with the benefits accounts. And I don't know what happened, but it seems like this, you know, somebody told them they can't be doing it based on, you know, how that, not the transfers, but the increase or advance. And when I saw the Oprah documents, schools had like all these documents supporting it, and like compared to our school had like literally nothing. Our district literally had nothing. But this is what she did with the reconfiguration, like create a crisis around FDK when half the town, like, I'm fully supportive. I would have voted for FDK. I'm all for full day kindergarten. But based on all the available data, that most of the town never thought that that was a priority. They made that in their minds a priority. Then not only that, and I think it was really about the reconfiguration. They tied it to that, to blunt, and this is historical with this administration. Create a false crisis, pull a predetermined solution out of your ass, say that research backs it when it doesn't, and then when everybody gets pissed off, try to vilify them. The problem here is they've lost so much credibility. That's just not possible anymore. At this point, they're just doing it knowing that everybody's seeing through them, and they don't. And I guess one of you said they don't care. They don't. You know,
they don't care.
No, and the meeting was emotional on so many levels, and like the basic human decency to have people, to have students, to have teachers, to have the very man himself whose job was being cut get up there and like plead and beg for just, table it. As much as I have issue with even Jean Kingsley, the night that we were all there fighting for Liza, she couldn't even, you could see, I don't know that she has actual physical emotions, but like even that night we saw council members engaging with residents because it was so emotional, and to have so many of our board members with a blank face and then go ahead and just like, it was like the big middle finger, like we don't give, like you're wasting our time. All you people who spoke, we don't give a shit because we have the power and we don't care. And that's honestly where they are. And I think the shades have been pulled up, and I think people are really starting to see that maybe it's cool to be an angry parent because we are getting the word out there.
I'm really not that angry at this point. Look, my kids are doing pretty well. They're gonna continue. Like, I don't, who knows? At this point, this is just like, I'm in this battle to fight stupidity. I mean, I guess really terrible government. I mean, that's at this point. But I think, going back to the math supervisor, look, obviously there was a huge departure between, at least for me and him, in terms of how building thinking classroom went. But I'm not going to judge a person based on one thing that's not going well. I mean, obviously the guy was extraordinarily accomplished, and there wasn't really any reason to let go of the guy. And instead of supporting this BTC shit so that it works, you could use some of that money that you're paying for lawyers and sort of after school programming, tutors, the shit that you didn't pay for with COVID, to help the guy kind of at least try to make this a success or redirect it. I feel like what they did was end up scapegoating him. Really, and that's sort of that's the leadership style. The leadership style is when there's something go wrong, and you saw the business administrator do it with the legal discrepancies that we pointed out. Oh, it was the prior administration.
Right.
Well, why didn't you bring this up for the last 2 years? I mean, like what the hell, man?
I know we wrote about it, but I just, for people who maybe are not, or just watching these, I just want to be very clear that this was clearly a motivated attack against Mr. Ziobro, who I don't have an issue with. The position that they've created, he is unable to even apply for, because a director position in this district requires 2 certifications. One is a principal's and one is, I believe, a supervisor certificate. And he only has one of them. So he is, and he said it in his speech the other night, he's out of a job. Like, he cannot apply for this new position. So it's such a low blow. Like, it was unnecessary.
Well, honestly, the reason they did it was because building the thinking classroom had so many parents who were angry that JP, you nailed it. You said he's a scapegoat, and he absolutely is, because
but
Varley
he's the guy that could have fixed it.
in.
No, but you know what? The thing is, yes, building thinking classroom was a real problem, and there wasn't this. There was obviously a lot of room for improvement in terms of how parents were dealt with by the math department. Now, I'm not going to get into that. But this guy did have a track record of building very good, successful programs. And, the issue is, honestly, a leadership style. The impulsive rollout, let's do it, let's defend it, even if it's going south, let's not acknowledge it, take it to the 11th hour before it burns. And then when the inevitable happens, let's blame somebody.
Yeah. And see, I think Varley was behind that. We are doing this no matter what. That was her.
Yeah.
I'm not fooled.
Well, then it shifted, and then it shifted to, well, teachers are going to do what they're going to. We don't direct what teachers do. The narrative changed incrementally throughout that whole process. I don't know, but you guys were like, I can't believe you guys actually got sad. I mean, I expected, I almost felt like I wanted to watch that, and I wanted people to watch that for just kind of like the show. I just hey, just take another look at how they do business, but. Did you guys really have any legitimate belief? Did you guys really believe at all that they were going to vote down this budget? Okay.
No. I had, based on the last meeting, I actually had some hope that they would do the right thing, and I really did not expect that out of Bill. I really.
Who do you think would have? Okay, so you thought Gail was going to vote it down, but that's 3.
Yes.
Who would have been the 4th person in your mind, Shauna?
I thought Joy.
Oh no!
No.
She's a convenient vote. She's a convenient no vote. She'll vote no for appearances, but when the rubber hits the road, it's always the first vote. You'll notice she'll vote no, and then she'll go along with it.
Right, she's running for re-election, so this is going to be a huge stain on her campaign, right?
Well, there's among several.
Well, I mean, this is the most recent. I'm sure we'll have.
I mean, there's a whole bunch of votes that I have an inventory. Votes, and I think it's important for people to vote. Stand behind your vote. If that's how you're going to vote, you have to explain it. At some point, you can't hide behind Robert's Rules of Order or whatever made up shit that they have up there to justify why you're not speaking to people. They created that stupid social media policy as an excuse as to why they can't talk to people. It was both to silence Cy and Tom, but it was also a way to say, well, I can't go on social media and defend myself from these people. No, you just don't have facts. So you created a policy
Right.
So you wouldn't have to. So you had an out. I don't know. So that's all like I don't know, anything else from this bizarre fucking meeting? It was fucking
No,
bizarre.
so I lost my
It was
shit
weird.
when she said, let's get rid, then I have to get rid of 2 teachers. And I yelled, and you couldn't hear it on video, but my response was, why is that always your go-to? You know, I couldn't sit there and look at her another second. So I got up and started to walk out, and because Angela Penna was telling me stop, and I'm like, yeah, I know it's an outburst, and I'll remove myself. And told Farley,
and Angela Penna makes up rules. So first of all, she can't tell people who not to address. They can address whoever they want at the board. Like that's like they're going to end up in a lawsuit over that. Like board members can't respond to them. That's fine, but people in the public can say, Robert, yeah, you're
allowed to say a staff member's name.
And you're allowed to say a staff member's name. Yeah. I mean, there was a whole lawsuit about this in New Jersey. Like, you know, every time Penna does that to somebody, I think the risks of further legal action are increasing. I almost cringe because it's going to be another lawsuit people are going to blame us for.
Our own attorney. I mean, Francis cut off Karen and tried to give her some bullshit that she wasn't allowed to say Steve Hopkins' name because
she didn't. No, Francis actually, if you see it was careful, which what Francis said, she was smart. She's like, the board is not able to respond to personnel issues. She never told Karen.
Yeah, but she said she did. She said we would prefer if you would not use his name because we cannot respond.
Prefer. That's different than what Angela says.
Right.
Angela says you're not allowed to. You know, so Francis is actually starting to pick up on how the law works, which is good. I mean, she has a law degree.
He's getting paid a lot of money.
I'm very proud of you know the internship at Berkeley Heights. Any other? I hate to say this.
I'm just very, very, very sad.
I know you guys are gonna. I know. Wait, no. Wait.
Where are you going with this? Go.
I don't know. I think she kind of like, I don't know. At least she's genuine. Like you could see when she's pissed. Like she actually gets mad. She shows emotion
Francis?
up there. Yeah.
Oh please, she need not be there for an hour and a half of student accolades.
Guys, first of all, I'm not saying she should be up there. I just like the fact that she at least shows some emotion.
Okay, right.
Okay, number one, and number two, she is as bad as her legal advice is. I think she's like, you know, and Tom and Dipty aside, she's probably the smartest out of all of them.
All right.
Who's smarter than her out of what's left? So you take Tom and Dipty out. What's left?
Right. I mean, if that's the pool we're talking about, then yes, she's floating at the top.
All right. Anyway. This is very emotional. This was more emotional than the board meeting.
Can I put my pirate costume back on?
Yes.
Man, I hope that guy's Yauber lands on his feet somewhere, man. You know, I feel bad for the guy. All right. Anything else we want to talk about? Karen, you know, she wrote a good article today, but I don't feel like it needs to. You know, her and I get into arguments all the time online about DEI. But she's right. She's right. She's absolutely right about what happened. You know. Yep. Go ahead, Laura.
Oh, I just pulled this one out, but you both made me think of it. So our district is very good at the practice of only promoting school events. I was more than shocked, but not shocked, because once you know who the major players are, it becomes very clear that our superintendent sent in a district-wide email endorsing a group in town, which is a great charity. I have no problem with anyone that's looking to do good or help others.
Oh man, you're gonna get us in trouble, aren't you, Laura? Go ahead.
Trouble. I think that the door has been left ajar, and I have concerns about when other really good organizations and groups approach this district and they are told no, that we're going to have issues. And I'm not going to say the charity because it's a really good charity and I support them. But if you look at who their board members are and who on our board of education are tied to, I mean,
the whole RMC people.
These are, you know, Angela Penna's friends. So it looks, you know, I have issue with, I mean, are other people seeing what's going on here?
Well,
Right?
yeah, I
Like,
mean,
we're really trying to
well, that's been
funnel.
going on for years. It's one hand washes. I mean, there's other nonprofits that have been doing the same. I'm not going to get into it because they do good work, but it is about sort of relationships, and a lot of times they revolve politically. And I'll kind of leave it at that. But I am going to ask Melissa, Dr. Varley, to push out our BHCW fundraising event that I haven't figured out yet. I'm just gonna make up a fucking fundraising event so I
Let
can
it
create
be
a problem.
kindness. She is a
Yeah.
very big advocate for spreading kindness. Her
I don't know.
email.
Just support this lima bean farm or something. I'm just gonna make some bullshit up just so that I kind of control this whole thing. There was one other thing I kind of wanted to talk about. So we talked about legal, admin, the transfers, special education. Yeah. So I think we covered everything. Is there anything else before we close this out?
Maybe.
Go.
What?
I don't know.
I will bring up quickly. I know Todd brought it up at the meeting.
You guys are like my family saying goodbye at a party. It takes like 8 fucking hours for you to leave. It's annoying. All right, go ahead, Laura. Extend this.
Todd brought up the word study. There's.
Oh no, fucking A. Dude, that is like really weird. That's really weird, yo.
No, it's funny.
Is it off?
It's very funny.
No, was what off? No, we have a pirate. I'm so proud. I'm so happy we have a pirate here. So there's currently floating around is a K-5 word study survey.
Yeah.
Opened it and read it. It's literally
that is the dumbest fucking survey I've ever seen in my life.
I try to give people the benefit of the doubt.
No words.
Right.
And then and then when they do this thing, every parent thinks kids should know words, and that's why we selected this curriculum.
Yes.
Exactly.
But it was almost like, so I majored in sociology, and sometimes we did ridiculous surveys because you were sending them with you wanted to elicit a response and then study how people reacted. So I got it. I'm like, oh, it must be one of those surveys to see people are reading it. So maybe we can post it for people who haven't seen it, because it really does make you laugh. It really asks if you think teaching children how to speak and what the alphabet is important. And then the other survey is the DEI survey that Karen brought up. She wrote in her article. And that one is who's writing these surveys, because they are.
I don't know. Yeah, well, I know. I mean, I was privy to some of that, but I can't get into that. I'll say the district, and this is kind of why I went. If you remember, I did go to the board and talked about DEI surveys. Yes. Like last year, I kind of spent a lot of time. And again, they're making a big mistake. What they should be measuring are the interventions, not this other shit that what they're trying to do is backdoor into, oh my God, we need DEI more, or oh my God, DEI is working. If you look at the survey, that's exactly what it is. It's one or the other. And what we should be doing is measuring and the reason they are not doing that is because there is no DEI. There is no, from what I'm understanding, and I've talked to people in the schools and different places, and what I'm being told from people who know or should know is what we've suspected, which is they're rebranding everything the school's done already, really, for the most part, as DEI. What you should be measuring really is the specific this is how it works. Just do one little fucking thing at a time, measure it through an instrument, and if it works, celebrate it, and if it doesn't, scrap it and put it somewhere else. And people will respect that. Don't make it this divisive fucking circus that it's turning into. It's insane.
That actually applies not only to DEI, but to everything. Take one small step, evaluate it. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, remove it. It's that simple, and this district doesn't get it.
No, I mean, it doesn't. Yeah, well, I again last year, I even talked to them about what does a good process for a climate survey look like? How what's what not just the climate survey, but the process surrounding it. And stakeholder involvement was key. Like, it was sort of a ground up process. But whatever. All right, are we done? Shauna left.
All right, Shauna just got up.
No,
I
I
think she's
didn't.
offended. I
Because
don't
my
like her
computer's
pirate.
gonna die.
She doesn't
Gotta
like
plug
her.
in.
She doesn't. Okay. Well, we're gonna
Yeah, we
leave
need to-
anyway, right? We're gonna end it
Yeah.
now.
Yes.
We are. Yes,
Okay.
we are gonna go.
All right. Later, guys. Thanks for showing up.
Bye.
Bye.
Peace out.